And interesting development today, Rob. Guy we worked with right here at FS1, Mike Lombardi. He was there when we first started at FS1.
He sure was.
3.5 years ago.
Great guy.
Yes, very good guy. I like him a lot. Obviously very knowledgeable. He's worked with
Look at the last name. All you need to do is have that last name in the NFL. Are you kidding?
Are they related? Is he related to Vince?
Whether I don't know if he is or not, to be honest. I guess we have to look it up.
Yeah, I'll have to
probably
find that
though.
out.
I would say
look that
probably.
up, Rob G. But yeah, that name, of course, is.
But I'm just saying in football,
yeah.
right? That's what I mean. Yeah,
no question. But yeah, former NFL GM Mike Lombardi worked with the Patriots, the Browns, several other teams. He, Rob, on his podcast, which is a very good podcast, he came out and dropped a bomb. And he said that Tua Tagovailoa failed a physical with one team. And then he said he broke a wrist twice. Now, we know that Tua's broken an index finger, didn't miss any games with it. He sprained a knee, didn't miss any games. He's had an ankle sprain, didn't miss any games. He sprained the other ankle, missed one game, and had surgery, missed one game. And then, of course, the latest and the biggest, he dislocated his right hip, and he missed 3.5 games and had surgery and, has supposedly recovered. But Lombardi is saying that for all these reports about these glowing medical tests that he's had and how he's passing with flying colors and he's fully healthy, Lombardi said that's not the case. Here he is.
It's not just his hip. It's his ankle. It's his wrist. He broke his wrist the first day of spring ball one year. And then they fixed it and he came back and he re-broke it again. I mean, he's brittle. He is brittle. You can't deny it. 2 teams I've talked to have flunked him. They flunked him on not just the hip, on the multitude of injuries. Like the risk far outweighs the reward.
Yeah,
wow.
Mike Freeman.
That is a bomb.
That's a bomb. Mike Freeman, friend of our show, Rob, of course, great reporter for Bleacher Report. He talked to a head coach and anonymously, and here's what the coach said. Tua is a good athlete, great leader. Mark Brunell comparison is a good one. The big concern with him is medical, not just his hip, which is significant, but the ankle, the foot, etc. His injury history will be a big factor considering where you have to draft him. Joe Burrow's built differently, more linear, one-year wonder, but the tape is impressive. Can move if he has to, clean medically. If Tua had a better medical grade, then I think the league would be split with ranking between the two of those guys. There's a much higher risk injury-wise with Tua. And then finally, Mike Tannenbaum, the former GM
for the Jets.
In the league. Yeah, for the Jets. He came out as well, and today he told the Miami Herald, Rob, it would be irresponsible to draft Tua in the top 10. I mean, you 2 bombs from former GMs who obviously, and I'm not saying whether they're right or wrong, but we do know this as reporters, Rob, they are in a better position to tell the truth.
Right.
A current GM is not going to come out and say that about Tua. He's not going to rip him, number one. And number two, they want this to be a smokescreen. Maybe they want you to think they'll take Tua, or you know what I mean? So these guys are in position where they can say the truth, or at least as far as they know it. And so I want to ask you, Rob, what do you make of this? And, if you're a team in that top 10 or wherever, what are you thinking now as far as Tua?
What I'm thinking is I need to take a look at him and make sure I have my doctors check him out before I would touch him with a 10-foot pole. Seriously, because that's too much out there. And you're right. Sometimes it's a smoke screen, so somebody will lay off of them and then you jump and you grab them or whatever. But I don't think so. I think you're right. When you're in these jobs now and you're out of the business and you're not a GM, you have people that you've talked to for years, Chris, and that's why a network would hire you, right? You know the ins and outs. You know a lot of people. You have friends in the business who will tell you dude, I can't put my name to it, but I'll tell you straight up. He's
Right.
hurt. I would not draft him. I'm telling you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's why you got to, when you hear stuff like that from multiple people, this isn't one. And the thing that got me with Lombardi was he didn't say he felt one physical. He said he felt multiple.
Right.
That
Right.
was the did you catch that? I
He
mean,
said 2 teams,
Yes.
I believe. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you can't make that up. That's not one. You're gonna make up that 2 teams say he failed. I mean, that's hard.
Here's where I'm at on Tua, Rob. Okay, this settles clearly if you put any credence into what they say, and I do. Clearly, it settles the Burrow question. It's Burrow, right? The Bengals, it's Burrow. There's no, I mean, I think it was Burrow anyway, particularly with him being from Ohio. But now there's no question. I'm taking Joe Burrow. Now, if I'm the Miami Dolphins, and there was talk that they might try to trade, or there still is talk, I guess, that they might try to trade up and get the number 1 pick from Cincinnati. Here's what I'm doing if I'm Miami. I'm standing pat at 5. We know they need a quarterback. They've needed a franchise quarterback, heck, since Dan Marino left the building. All right. I think Brian Flores, he was impressive last year. He looks like he's going to be a pretty good coach. You have a lot of assets as far as future draft picks, and you added some decent talent, this year. So they have things that make you say, okay, things are looking up. What we need is a quarterback. And I'm going to tell you this, despite what Tannenbaum said and what Lombardi said, if I'm Miami, Rob, I would take Tua at 5. And I feel better. Like before, I wasn't sure if they could get Tua at 5. But now, if other teams believe these reports, then I think they'll lay off Tua, because some of them just don't even need, Washington, obviously, they don't necessarily need a quarterback, we don't think. And then, Detroit's got Stafford. And so, they got a good chance, I would think, of getting Tua now. Like if I'm Miami, I feel better about my chances of getting him at 5. So what I do is I draft him at 5. I understand. I get it. It is high risk, but it's also potentially high reward. If he gets hurt and can't play, hey, we rolled the dice. We still have other top picks. We still, they got other ways they can improve. We've been without a quarterback for ages, so I'm willing to take that risk. And if it pays off, you hit the jackpot. So that's how I'm feeling, Rob. If I'm Miami, unless my doctors are just like, this dude's not going to stay healthy. He's going to break, if he gets hit hard or whatever. I would take him if I'm Miami.
I don't think you could do that. And this is the thing. You can't waste first round picks like that. Not in a situation where it might not work out for you and you're the Dolphins. They haven't won anything since Don Shula and those guys were around. I mean, it's been a long time for that franchise. They're not the ones who can gamble. You can gamble if you're a team that's won a couple of Super Bowls, Chris, and whatnot, and you can. Those teams can gamble.
I think they can.
See, I think they can.
Nobody's expecting anything. I mean, I get it. It's a risk.
If you're the Dolphins, it might set your franchise back. You know what I mean? Another 10 years. You just don't know. Is what I'm saying. So I would be very leery. I think not in the first round. If he's still around down the road, you know what I mean? Maybe that you take a flyer on him. But I can't see when you have a chance of adding a player that's going to make you, that you can use right now, is going to make you better, where you're taking a risk with a guy who's not only possibly injured and failed some stuff, Chris, he has a history of being injury prone. That's what scares me even more.
No, generally, I do. Guys that don't stay healthy in college, generally it's hard to, expect them to be healthy in the NFL. Now, I'm a guy that I was questionable about Adrian Peterson in college because, he played, but he had some injuries in college. And I remember thinking, This guy, I mean, he got banged up in college. How's he gonna make it in the pros? And obviously, he was fine in the pros. He only played 7 games his last year in college at Oklahoma as a junior. But he was fine in the NFL health wise. And but yeah, I would roll the dice. Rob G, what are Miami's other picks? Either this year, or next year, their first round picks, because they got a good number of little assets with them, don't they? So I just think I would roll the dice, because I think Tua could be a great quarterback. I think he's a great talent, and I get it, Rob, and I'm not mad at you for being more cautious about it. But a team that's been horrible for decades now. I mean, they've had a year here or there.
Right, but that's how teams stay horrible, because they're always doing a thing that you shouldn't do. There's times to take risks, Chris. If I'm the Patriots or I'm somebody like that, I'll take a chance on them with my first overall pick in the first round. Yes, I would. You've won enough. People aren't going to – if it doesn't work out, it's not going to be the end of the Patriots. They've already won. But when you haven't won as long as the Dolphins have, and you feel like you got something going, and you take a chance and he doesn't pan out for you or he's hurt, that's going to cost somebody their job. It just will.
Well, Chris, to answer your question, Rob, sorry to interrupt you. 5 first-round picks over the next 2 years, 4 second-round picks over the next 2 years for the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, that's a lot. I would keep my assets. That's a lot of assets.
Let me ask you guys this, because I know that Rob is a huge fan of Carson Wentz. I know both of you guys are big fans of Deshaun Watson. Both guys had huge injury concerns coming out of college.
Right.
I didn't hear either one of you mention anything about those two.
Well, one, we didn't have a show. So
no, I mean now. I mean you're saying
I know what you're
Rob's
saying
you wouldn't take these guys, but
that's a great point. That is an excellent point.
But do you know, Rob G, here's the thing that I'll push back on you. Did those guys fail physicals before the draft?
Well, but we've seen stories, though, Rob, where several guys, Drew Brees, failed his physical with San Diego, and obviously the rest is history.
I think it was with Miami. Failed with Miami.
Brees.
Yes, because he was going to go and they took Culpepper instead.
Right. Okay. But there have been other guys that have failed physicals with different teams, and then some teams passed them, some teams failed them. So, and that's the thing too. Remember, Rob, and again, we put credence into Lombardi's reporting, but there's also obviously the reports that, he's looking great, he's passed, he's fine. You know what I mean? So there's that as well. And like you said, you want to get your own doctors to look at him, but it's true. I mean, Wentz has been banged up in the NFL too.
I saw in Detroit a lot where they used to take flyers on broken down players. Matt Millen did it all the time during their bad runs, and most of those guys didn't work out or they stayed injured. I've seen it firsthand where you're like, well, we're the Lions. What do we have to lose? You lost a pick. And the guy didn't work out or the guy stayed hurt. I can't remember the guy's name. There was a running back they took where everybody was like, oh, this guy's so brittle. And what did he do? I think he got hurt in training camp or early on, was never the same. So, Chris, I get it. You want to roll the dice. You think it's worth it. I just wouldn't do it. If my medical people said there's just too many things here that don't make me feel comfortable with signing off on him. They would have to convince me.
I'll give you that. If the medical people are like, look, I mean, if they're really just totally adamant that, look, I'm telling you, dude's going to break. It's just simple as that. And they show me, then I got questions. But just based on what you got to
do your due diligence. I'm not saying it's based off of that only. You'd have to have your doctors look at them.
And guys, let's not forget that before the season, the term tank for Tua was a thing. We never heard let's bust for Burrow. That was not coming into the season a talking point in the NFL. Tua was hands down the number one pick for about a year and a half.
Now, look, in fairness, though, Burrow was tremendous this year. Absolutely tremendous. So I do think there'd be a discussion even if Tua hadn't gotten hurt. But you're right. Tua is tremendous, and he was clearly the number one pick.
But whenever you get hurt, it takes you out of the mix. We always talk about availability, Chris. Right? When you're hurt, people look at you differently.
All right, 877-99 on Fox, 877-996-6369. It's your turn to weigh in. Would you take Tua in the top 10? Would you do what I'm doing and say, if you're Miami, take him number 5, or are you with Rob? We'll continue the conversation with you next.
All right, let's start with Freddie in Seattle. You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What you got, Freddie?
Hey, what's up, Chris? What's up, Rob? Man, I love what you guys do.
Thank you.
First of all,
Thanks.
Mr. Broussard, I send you a tweet congratulating you on your great daughter's accomplishment. I never heard nothing back, but that's conversation for another time.
Chris don't follow his
She's
stuff.
at Yale. She's the one that's going to Yale to work at Yale. Is that what you said?
Absolutely, brother. I'm proud of you, man. Keep up the great
Clearly
work.
got her dad's brains.
Oh, your wife's a doctor. What are you talking about?
She got both our brains. But anyway.
Let's get to this Tua guy. I mean, it's written all over the wall. This guy is injury prone, and I don't believe that there's been a first-round draft pick from the quarterback position from Alabama in 38 years. And the last person we talked about was the McCarron kid.
Right.
Tua is good,
Yeah,
man.
but hold on. Of course, they've never had great quarterbacks for the most part. But Tua
Going back
is
to
different.
Joe Namath, right? That's
Yeah, right. That's about it. I mean, Tua's different. You got to admit, Tua's a different I wouldn't hold Alabama against him. I mean, heck, the Big 12, how many busts did they have before Mahomes? So I don't think you can hold that against him. If you want to hold the injury history, okay, but I don't think you can hold the Alabama against him, Rob.
No, I get it. It's unfair to lump everybody together. There could be people who come from schools and have breakouts and do different things. Mahomes is a perfect example, no doubt. Isaiah in Baltimore, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Isaiah? What's up, Zeke?
Hey, guys. So I want to say Tua is a top 5 draft pick for all I'm concerned, because I look at it like this. You look at a lot of these organizations that are needing quarterbacks, I just look at it, what do you have to lose? Like, in all honesty,
I agree. That's my thinking.
So the last caller, he talked about A.J. McCarron, whose best year at Alabama was 30 touchdowns, 3 picks. Tua's best year was 43 touchdowns, 6 picks, with a 69 completion percentage compared to 66 for A.J. McCarron. This Alabama team was based around offense. When Tua was there, the offense was better than the defense every year.
Isaiah, let me stop you. I just want to stop you. I hear your point. I get it. But if it didn't matter about health, then they wouldn't take physicals. You would just take a look at a player and pick people. That's why you have a physical. That's why deals are called off when people don't pass physicals. Let's not be – I get the talent. We've all seen it. But don't act like him being injured or having some issues doesn't matter. Otherwise, nobody would take a physical. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, but I know some other great quarterbacks that have.
Okay, that's all I just want to make sure you're making
Rob
it.
G made 2 good points, right? You got to give him that. Carson Wentz.
I didn't say
I'm
not.
And Deshaun Watson.
But I'm saying don't act like being hurt doesn't matter is my point.
All right. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Of course it matters.
That's all.
I'm just
saying.
What's your faith
otherwise
in him being able to stay healthy?
Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. That's
right.
all. Mark in Sacramento, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio.
What's going on, gentlemen?
What's up, man? How are you?
No, pretty good. How you guys doing? You all right?
We're good. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Definitely.
Good. Hey, guys, this is easy. If he was a criminal, he'd have a record. Put it that way. If the reports are true, this many injuries with this guy from lower extremities to wrist to if it's true, and the reason why I say that is 2 weeks before the draft, man, there's so much smoke out there. You better not believe anything anybody's saying right now. So I'm just saying. But if it's true, that record's true, and there's this many injuries coming out. I think the caller said, "What do you have to lose?" Let me tell you what you got to lose. If you need a quarterback and your franchise is desperate for one, and you miss, you might have to go 10 years before you get another one.
Yeah,
That's
but
why.
I might have to do that anyway. And here's a guy that I can get that if he's healthy, I mean, you never know with quarterbacks especially, but if he's healthy, the signs point to him being great. Why wouldn't I take the risk? Or next year I'll get somebody else. I mean, I'm Miami. I haven't had a quarterback since Marino.
Well, why is that then, Chris? You haven't been a good team and you haven't had a quarterback, right? It doesn't mean they haven't drafted people. right? Over all these years, they haven't panned out.
They haven't
That's my
drafted
point.
anybody like this. I don't believe.
But it ain't that easy.
This
is my
is
point.
your chance to get one of those. Have they? And then maybe I'm wrong, but I'm trying to remember. I don't remember them taking a guy like this that everybody thought was a great player. Now he's got an injury history, but as far as the game, most people are all in on him. As far as his game, most, not all, but most.
I don't have any issue with his game. I'm just saying I wouldn't be mad at my franchise if he failed a physical and they saw other things that weren't really out there and feel like, wait a minute, we know about the hip, but there's like 2 or 3 other things that weren't public that we didn't even know about.
No, that's where it's interesting.
Right?
You do have to do your due diligence and look into what Lombardi and Tannenbaum and these guys are saying.